As always, we'll open up our meeting with public comments. We have several people who have signed up for public comment this evening. With the number that we have, your time limit will be 3 minutes. We're going to ask everybody if they'll please observe that 3-minute time limit. Our first speaker is John Finney. John Finney is speaking on item number 3. He's speaking against agenda item number 3. Mr. Finney.
Hello to the members of the Pine Bluff City Council, the mayor, and most importantly, the members of the community gathered here. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. For those that don't know me, my name is John Fenley. I moved here from Utah about 3 years ago. I didn't know anything about anything when I got here, and I had hoped to run several businesses as well as a go-kart track, science museum, and makerspace in a huge abandoned warehouse I found. As I explored this town, I could see a lot of differences. It was scary to drive at night with all the huge ditches and lack of sidewalks. I was confused by some of the intersections and the one-way streets. But the biggest difference was something deeper, more fundamental, a cultural difference in the way this city is run that I gradually came to know as I worked to get my businesses started here. When I came to city council meetings, I noticed that there were buildings being condemned at nearly every meeting, yet the addresses were never listed on the agenda. Most of the time, the city lawyer couldn't even read the full title before a motion, a second, and a vote was held. Then I saw items being added to the agenda during the meetings. Emergencies were common, and many items that should have been read several times over several meetings were rushed through in a single sitting. Back in Utah, everything was published on the agenda at least 2 weeks ahead of time to allow the citizens of the community the opportunity to address topics of concern to them. The contrast here struck me as very odd, but then I noticed something that concerned me even more. The council never opened the floor for open public comment, even during public hearings. In Utah, they allowed anyone with something to say a chance to speak at city council meetings. Pre-registration was not required, and public comment on each item was heard during the meeting, while that agenda item was up for discussion, so that no voice from an affected citizen was silenced. This was a huge red flag, and I started to see the fundamental difference. If you really cared about what this community thinks, you could ask us. I'm sure I'm not the only one here who has strong feelings about this, but I'm not sure how many others were stopped by the hoops I had to jump through in order to stand here at this podium today to tell you the things you don't want to hear. This is a cash grab by Go Forward, and you have the power to stop this farcical, rushed election that diminishes the opportunity for the voices of the people to be heard. We don't need Go Forward. There's nothing holding this place back except the people holding it back. Since deference to authority is a core value here, I'll conclude with the words of an authority. On page 19 of this legal questions and answers handbook published by the Arkansas Municipal League, they ask, may the city donate money to private nonprofit charitable organizations such as the Senior Citizen Center or Boys and Girls Club? Part of the answer reads, the city may not donate or directly appropriate funds to a private organization, even one that is charitable or nonprofit, without violating Article 12, Section 5 of the Arkansas Constitution. They do list some very narrow exceptions, but in my opinion, your current agreement with Go Forward, as well as many of the other projects going on in this town, don't seem strictly legal. Do with that information what you will. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Feeney. Our next speaker is Mr. Jack Foster.
Is it 2? Correct me if I'm wrong. Did they pull the tax initiative? They did? Okay, that's not going to stop me from speaking, though. I oppose the tax because I think the tax that we had previously that they called the Go Forward tax, which was really just a general sales tax to be spent any way the city wanted. But since the powers that be had some folks on this council in their back pocket, they did what they wanted to do. There is no way that no citizen in this town should support a tax. You're going to ask a citizen to do additional taxes and they still jump in ditches. They still tear up the cars from hitting potholes because you're not taking care of basic services in this city. Now, I don't have a problem with the tax, but if you're going to do a tax, you take it to the people and you put on the ballot how that money is to be spent in what areas. That way we ain't got to worry about them other folks that's dictating what happens down here at City Hall, how that money is to be spent. Because the people will decide how it is. I was appalled that it was on the agenda already, and you have not had not one public hearing to get input from the public. None. That is wrong. Where's the transparency? And all I'm saying is just do the right thing. This is Black History Month, believe it or not. And we got black folks down here acting like they ain't black no more. That's crazy. That is totally crazy. Totally crazy. And all I'm saying to you, just do the right thing. Go Forward is not a part of city government. It is not. You don't owe them nothing. Nothing. And see if you can escape from under that. Now I hear they got some little meeting tomorrow about promises made, promises kept. Yeah, they made promises, but they lied. They lied. And the bottom line is that I think Go Forward has mismanaged a whole bunch of city funds. And I'm planning on meeting real soon with the Attorney General because I honestly and truthfully believe that a conspiracy exists between Go Forward and the city of Pine Bluff. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Foster. Our next speaker is Trevante Calhoun. Our next speaker is Mr. Ivan Whitfield. Thank you. Julius Lever.
To all who are here spending their time to allow citizens and the city council and mayor to do their business. I'd like to ask a question before my time starts. And my question simply is this. Is there anybody that's here representing the city willing to tell me how the decision was made to have a tractor to come to 1700 Main Street and have that tractor to run into a cross and break it in half? With anyone who is hired, who's making money from the city, from my tax dollars, and I've been here a long time, using my tax dollars to have someone to come to 1700 Main Street and take a tractor and run it into a cross and break it in half. To take a tractor and take a piece of religious art that says Israel down. To take marble that came from Friendship Academy on Main Street, marble that says Tribe of Judah, and throw it in a trash bin. I am patiently waiting for anyone that will answer that question before I speak. Keeping that in mind, it is obvious the city council was not allowed to even vote for that destruction to take place. How could that be? And when the police officers there, I said, "Sir, ma'am, I'm concerned that this is not being done properly." They said, "Call the mayor." And then the next day, a police officer walked up to me and said, "The mayor got on the officers because you were able to act such strong questions to the police." Please, anyone, someone, answer the question, how is this happening now to me? Keep it in mind that no one is willing to ask the question. I would like to speak now. May I speak? My name is Julius Caesar Lever Jr. Julius Hezekiah Lever. His daddy was sick and he passed away when he was 6 months old. And they were holding on to the scriptures of Jesus Christ, the Holy Torah in the New Testament, and they were hoping that he would live, but he died. His mother died at 6 years old.
Mr. Lever.
Yes.
Excuse me.
You didn't answer my question, so why
Right
can't you
now,
let me
we're speaking on agenda
I am.
items.
A whole thing's about agenda. Agenda number, this agenda that I'm speaking on, number 7, I'll read it. A resolution declaring certain houses, buildings, and or structures as nuisances. Why is the city council dealing with nuisances in this case, but the city council was not even allowed to vote on a nuisance at 1700 Main Street? Quoting a scripture. How can you, the city council, or you, sir, you, ma'am, and mayor, how can you say you love God that you never seen when you don't love your brother you see every day?
Mr.
That's
Lever,
not the only scripture.
if I make no mistake, that was not a decision that came before the council. It went before the court. And it was a
Oh, wait,
decision-
no. Court is given the jurisdiction after the proper due process is delivered. Other words, the court don't even be involved until the city takes care of its business. Again, the ordinance here says that a resolution declaring certain houses, buildings, and or structures as nuisances. So the city, the court won't get that unless it's not abided by.
Okay, Mr.
So,
Lever,
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
your time has expired.
I thank each of you for listening. I will say this. A city that does not love people will lose their population. Pine Bluff has lost a lot of population, and it can happen even more if we don't start showing love. And I do love each of you, but I'm like the old R&B singer. I want a 50-50 love. I got to obey. She said thank you. Well, first of all, I speak from my heart, so I don't try to remember what
Thank
I
you,
say.
Mr. Lever.
But may I answer his question?
Thank you, sir. Your time is up.
I did, but she's the chairman. I have to abide by
Councilmember
the
Brown,
rules.
his time is up. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Well, I think you were out of order, so let's not even, thank you. Our next speaker is Joel Keisel. Okay, thank you. All right. That's the last of our public speakers. We'll open our meeting at this time, if you will, please, with our invocation. Our invocation will be brought to us tonight by Associate Pastor of First Missionary Baptist Church, Warren Cork. We're going to ask you to stand for the invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. Father God, we come to say thank you. Oh God, we ask that you conduct this meeting and direct it in the way that you have it to be, oh God. God, we ask God that you control it right now in Jesus' name. Anything that not like you, oh God, we ask that it be removed right now. God, we ask that you forgive us, oh God, for all of our sins, oh God. God, we thank you right now, God, for giving us this opportunity to take care of the people in Pine Bluff, God, and the surrounding area. God, we just thank you for your love and your kindness, God. We thank you for your son, God, all you've done for us, dying on the cross for us. We thank you, God, and we believe in you, God, that you're going to lead us in that direction that we ought to go. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. You may be seated. Madam Clerk, can we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Mays. Councilmember Holcomb Jr.
Here.
Councilmember Brown Jr.
Here.
Councilmember Lockett. Councilmember Brown Sr.
Here.
Councilmember Shainer.
Here.
Councilmember Frazier.
Here.
Councilmember Brunson.
Here.
Looks like everybody's here this evening. Thanks for that. Next, you all, we're going to, I'm sorry, Mays, I'm sorry. Councilmember Mays is absent, and I guess at this time it would be fitting and proper that we acknowledge the destruction that happened to Councilmember, the great loss that happened to Councilmember Mays early this morning. His house sustained a fire, and there was basically a total loss. This happened the early hours of this morning or late last night, and that is the reason Councilmember Mays is not with us today. We want you to keep him in your prayers. We're going to be doing something to help Councilmember Mays recover from this great loss. So we'll be announcing something within the next day or so. We want to rally around him at this time of great loss, because we all know what a champion for this entire community that Councilmember Mays has been throughout the years. So we want to show, we asked him this morning, I think Mrs. Anderson from our office was talking to him and said, what do you need most? And he said, I need kindness. So we want to extend that level of kindness that he'll always remember from this community that he has, as I said before, embraced so dearly throughout the years. So let's say a prayer for Councilmember Mays as we move forward, and we'll make plans and let you know exactly what we'll do, how we'll do it within the next day or so. Okay. You should each have a copy of...
So move.
It has been moved and properly seconded that the minutes from the February 7th meeting and the February 6th meeting, the February 6th regular meeting and the February 7th special call meeting be approved. It's been moved and ordered that they be approved as given. Let's vote as presented. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes stand approved. Before we go into our committee reports, we have a special person in the office.
Did you do both the meetings?
Yes, I did both at the same time. Okay. We have a special person in our audience that I'd like to present. She's been in Pine Bluff before, but most recently she's coming to us from Las Vegas, Nevada. As you know, we did an appropriation to support the GVI program. That's the Gang Violence, the Group Violence Initiative. And we have that newly assigned, newly hired Group Violence Initiative Coordinator with us this evening. She's hit the ground running, has been working with Judge Brown, his court. Not only that, she's pulled together many teams and groups that are working to address the violent problem that we have in this city. She's connected with the schools, she's connected with other groups throughout the city. And I wanted to present to you, those of you who have not met her, Miss Leonita Hughes. And she's going to come with you and she's going to talk to you about a little bit of what she's been doing, what she's met, and what her plans are as she moves throughout the course of this year.
Thank you, Mayor, for the invitation to Councilmember Glenn Brown Jr. and Councilman Holcomb Jr. I appreciate you for your support. Before I arrived here, Judge was very poignant about the support you have for this position, and to all the council members as well. I thank you. One of the things that the mayor will tell you, I just recently relocated back here, but I was a resident of Pine Bluff for 10 years. So I say I relocated, I didn't leave here because I have family and people here in this town that I really do care about, and it's really important for me to get the ground working because I already know what the issues are. I've shared that with the mayor on several occasions, that when I arrived here, I actually arrived back here in January 1st, January 9th, I started my job. And January 9th, I started the job running. I know what the issues are. We need to figure out a way to keep our kids from coming into the system and going over into city attorney at the Haddon Scott system. We don't want our kids. I don't want any more children to die. Just in this role, in 6 weeks, I learned that 9 children died last year in the Pine Bluff School District. That was shocking to me because I didn't know that. And a lot of times when I share that in these meetings, a lot of people don't know that. I would like to say that, you know, there's a lot of good that's in Pine Bluff. We just haven't tapped into it. I was actually at a meeting today, and I'm not sure if the gentleman is here. I spoke to a faith-based organization today, and I shared that I don't like to use the word it's a collaboration. I like to say collaborating. Collaborating is a verb. lot of times we sit in a lot of meetings and we're doing collaboration, but we're not doing anything. And so today, he said to me something that I said I was going to share tonight when I came. We always hear the term crime bluff. He said he calls it crime bluff. He said because there's a lot of crime that's been untapped here. And I feel that when I work with juveniles, there's a lot of things that have gone on here that we haven't tapped into. There's great artists here. The mayor's been doing her 5th Sunday nights. There's a lot of talent here. And so my job is to really bring all the community together, whether it's city council members, whether it's the judge, whether it's the police chief, whether it's the sheriff, whether it's any of you in the audience, to really figure out a way how we can solve these problems here. And I'm going to need all your help. I can't do it by myself. I'm just the name that's behind the title. But I really need all of you. And I thank the mayor for her continued support. She calls me and I call her when I need some help. And I thank you to my sister, like city attorney, Althea Haddon Scott. I've known her for a long time and I appreciate your support, as well as my colleague, Mr. Lockett over here. So please, if you have ideas, don't hold them in. We got to do this together. And I thank you all for your time. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Ms. Hughes. Moving into our committee reports, our first report will come from Councilmember Holcomb, substituting for Councilmember Mays. I'm sorry, that'll come from Bryn Brown Jr., Ways and Means, substituting for Councilmember Mays.
All right, thank you, Mayor. Ways and Means met just before this council meeting. Tonight we have two things on the agenda for Ways and Means. We have a year-end budget adjustment. The total for that year-end budget adjustment, $841,473.57. This year-end budget adjustment basically just zeroes out all the accounts for the year, so we can start 2023 with a clean slate. I move that we approve.
It's been moved and properly second that we approve a budget adjustment, which is our year-end budget adjustments in the amount coming from all accounts throughout the city, in the amount of $841,473.57. The floor is open for discussion. Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor of this budget adjustment, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Budget adjustment approved.
Next, we have a budget adjustment coming from finance. It's a grant, Healthy Babies, Bright Futures. Total budget adjustment is $15,000, and this is basically putting this money into an account so we can expend those grant funds. I move that we approve this budget adjustment.
Second.
It has been properly moved and second that a grant award coming from Healthy Babies Bright Futures grant be put into the budget in the amount of $15,000. The floor is open for discussion. Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor of this budget adjustment, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Budget adjustment approved.
Mayor, that concludes Ways and Means.
I think there was one on the table.
All that is
That changes agenda. Okay,
yeah, it's
it's
just
in
an
there.
addendum
Okay,
to this,
very good.
because the amount is the same.
Council members, each one of you were given an office update, a memo. Sorry about that. If something happens first time, I think that's the first time I've had my phone to go off in a council meeting. Sorry about that. Each one of you should have a copy of that update, so you can read that. I won't go over it. I will not take the time to do that. Ordinances and resolutions, Councilmember Mays. Substituting, Councilmember Holcomb.
Thank you, Mayor. Agenda's item number 1 and 2 will be completed tonight. Agenda's item 3, 4, 5, and 6 have been pulled by the sponsors. Agenda item number 7, 8, 9, and 10 are all resolutions. They will be completed tonight. That concludes ordinance and resolutions.
Thank you, Councilmember Mays. Economic and Community Development, Councilmember Brown Sr.
Thank you, Mayor. On Wednesday of last week, I didn't put that date, it probably was the 15th, let's do that, yeah. On the 15th, Community Development met with the usual agenda of the Main Street project, the University Drive project, Townsend Park project, 28th Street project, the Hardin Drain sewer project, Coleman School project, Pineville Community Center, Martin Luther King Park project, Park baseball field is complete. The 28th Street overpass is 100% complete, maybe a little striping to do. The Coleman School, safe to school, it's 100% complete. Pine Bluff Community Center, Martin Luther King Park, playground project is 95% complete. And we are actually working we're gonna approve the first ward homeless center probably at the end of the month. And there's 80% on the Townsend Park provision. Now, if anybody have any questions, you can ask me and Larry Manager, he's back there somewhere. I didn't want to complete, we had a nice meeting, I didn't want to complete to say everything that was said during that meeting, but if you have any questions, you can ask us about that meeting. But as usual, I want to make a quick statement to the people that live here in Pine Bluff. And that is, if we don't do something about bringing in businesses that pays taxes, we're gonna be in problem. We're gonna be in trouble. We keep building buildings that are dependents, buildings that have to be taken care of by taxpayers. We need buildings that can pay taxes. I want everybody to get in their cars today or tomorrow or next day. And I want you to ride around Pine Bluff and look. Look at the things that we have that should be going on that's not going on. Look at the vacant buildings that we have. Some of them are brand new. The business went out of business and didn't nobody check it out. Try to find something to replace those businesses. This is all in community development, by the way. So I look into, now I know that we have a project going where we're gonna build apartment houses or some more housing units. But I want us all to look at something. I have always said that when you tear down a house, you ought to be prepared to build another one back there. So this is what I want you to observe. I want you to drive through Pine Bluff and look at the houses, look at the lots where houses were and they're not there. That particular land is still Pine Bluff. And it looks horrible to the people that live across the street or down the street. So we must find ways to build houses back on. Some of them have been torn down on concrete slabs. That looks horrible. And if we think it looks horrible now and we're in the winter, how we think it's gonna look when the grass starts to grow in the summer? People talk about coming to Pine Bluff, just wanna look around. I'm trying to find the right place to start because everywhere I start, I'm not satisfied with it. So I think those are the kind of things that we definitely need to discuss. We definitely need to get into. I'm totally worried about our appearance of Pine Bluff, Arkansas. And I was trying to get a statement that Mr. Lever said. He said that if we don't start to love our people, we're gonna lose. We have already lost from 56 to where we are now, 39 to 41. That I know of, they told me that we used to be 65, but my short stint or long stint on this earth, I don't remember 65. But we are digressing in population, and it's a lot of it because of the recreational facilities and things that we have. It's because there's no serious quality of life. We have we don't have a good place to go and recreate, to eat, to shop. I just want us to change, and I'm gonna be on this until I'm dead or not on this council, and even when I'm not on this council. And we must find ways to make the people live here feel good about where they live and where they can go and shop. I hear people from Dumas say they just drive through Pine Bluff and go to Little Rock. I do not like to hear that. When they be talking to me, I'm like, why don't we have what you need? And so that's what we need to work on. We need to work on things that it takes to make people want to live here.
Council member,
One more thing.
wrap it up.
It's going to be wrapped up. I said earlier, Mayor, I want to be as polite as I can. I don't think that you were polite when you stopped me from talking to Mr. Lever, and when you try to stop me right now, because I was elected by the people to speak to the people, and properly I'm doing so. I'm not out of order, so I don't even appreciate you telling me to wrap it up. I did ask for a minute or two, and that's what I plan to do. So, and I don't think this is a dictatorship. I don't think this is a commandership. I think this is more or less supposed to be a democracy, voted by the people. And so whenever I want to speak and the permission is granted, I don't like it when people tell me not to speak, especially when I'm not redundant. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, I'm
Yes.
sorry. Back in Ways and Means, when we had the year-end budget adjustment, that extra sheet was in addition to the $841,000. So that extra sheet that has $9,120.08, that's in addition to the $841,000.
Okay.
So I just wanted to make that clear. I'm not sure if we do or not, but I just wanted to make sure that everybody understood that that was in addition to the $841,000.
I thought it was, but I wasn't sure. That was from the
But it still balances out all the
Okay, as long as it balances out, I think that's the most important thing.
Yes, ma'am.
So I believe we're good. All right. Good report, Councilmember Brown Senior, lengthy on comments. Public Health and Welfare, Councilmember Lynette Frazier.
Mayor, Public Health and Welfare will meet tomorrow at, not tomorrow, the 23rd at 2:30 p.m. It will be virtual and in person. However, I did speak to the departments that's under my leadership, and Transit is still working on waiting for the fuel dispenser. They have ordered it. It's just waiting for it to get here. I think that's a problem that a lot of people are having with materials and things that they're trying to purchase. Cemetery is still maintaining, the cemetery doing all that they can for that. And then I'm proud to announce that me and the city of Pine Bluff, we are working on a mental health and wellness conference, which will be April 8th, and Mayor Area on Agency in the Jefferson County Health Department is working with us on that too. We have a lot of vendors that have signed up to participate in that. People are already registering to come to the Mental Health and Wellness Conference. I believe that this conference is very important because we can't just legislate crime. We have to also look at other ways to help crime. And part of that is getting to the root of what is causing them to commit the crime. So I'm excited about this. It's gonna be April 8th from 10 to 2. Everybody register. It's a free event. All you have to do is just call me or call the mayor's office to register. So I'm looking forward to that. That ends my report.
Okay, we look forward to that mental health conference. Thank you so much for a very good report. Public Works, Councilmember Shiner.
Thank you, Mayor. Public Works met on February the 16th at 11 a.m. During that meeting, the Aquatic Center reported that the revenue for the center was up $2,000 year to date from last year. They've also got 2 new sponsors, Ace Lock and Key and Carpenter's Fish Market. They have just recently hired a new lifeguard training instructor, Diamond Hunt, and also they have a new swim instructor, Peyton Floyd. The street department reported they are cleaning up from the ice storm, limbs and debris. Also, the cleanup, not cleanup, but the free dump day on the first Saturday of February, they were able to get 28 loads of debris dumped on that day. I think the number was low because of the ice storm. Also, the C-Click Fix app should be up in mid-April, and they are still waiting on a back-ordered connector for the emergency power generator that they've had on order. Parks and Rec reported they are assessing Harbor Oaks. They are working on the JC sprinkler system, the splash pads, new equipment, MLK Park, and also the need for a trash truck for the Parks Department. Taylor Field reported when dries out, they will do some leveling and resodding at Taylor Field. And that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember Shiner. Next report will come from Development and Planning, Councilmember Lockett.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The Development and Planning Committee met on February the 7th, and it was our regular meeting where we entertained individuals wanting to rehab houses and get some grace with the condemnation list that we have. We also referred items number 7 and 8 to the full council with a due pass. Then on February the 13th, there was a special call meeting of the Development and Planning Committee to entertain ordinances, items number 1 and 2, which were both rezoning ordinances, one of the 700 block of Olive Street and another of the 200 block of East 2nd. Both of these items had previously, Mayor, a public hearing, and it was vetted well with no opposition, and the staff of the zoning and inspection and the planning commission recommended both of these rezoning ordinances be approved. Therefore, the Development and Planning Committee recommended these two ordinances to the full council with a due pass. Mayor, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Councilmember Lockett. Traffic and Aviation, Councilmember Bronson.
Thank you, Mayor. I met with the Traffic and Aviation Committee on February the 7th. Mr. Bennett, the Street Department Director, as well as Mr. Doug Hale over Grider Field. Basically, we talked about really catching me up on the projects that they have going on. Mr. Hale did let me know that they received a grant to reconstruct Hangar Row Road behind the airport, and they're starting construction on that. And as Councilmember Shaner spoke about the Fix Me app, Mr. Bennett said that should be up and running within the next month. So myself and Councilmember Frazier, we are planning to go out and have a visit with each one of those departments to get more acclimated and to understand their day-to-day operations. So within the next week, we'll be doing that. And our next scheduled meeting is going to be the first Tuesday of March. And that concludes my report.
And that's your regular meeting date?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your report.
Thank you.
Our next report will come from Councilmember Holcomb, Administration.
Thank you, Mayor. Administration Committee has not met since the last council meeting. Our next meeting is scheduled for the first Tuesday in March, which is March the 7th, 1:15 p.m. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Councilmember Holcomb. Public Safety, Councilmember Brown Jr.
Thank you, Mayor. I did have a question for Councilmember Brunson. What was that date for
The
traffic
next meeting?
Yes, ma'am.
It's gonna be the first Tuesday after, it's March 7th as well.
Okay, March 7th.
And I'll send the time out.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor. Public Safety met on February the 8th. We heard reports from police, fire, and animal control. And we also looked over and approved agenda item number 9, which is a resolution creating a program to attract and retain public safety officers through payment of bonuses. That came out of committee with a due pass. Then other than that, our next meeting will be on March the 8th, which is a Wednesday at 1:30 in the council chambers, and I'm sure it'll be available by Zoom as well. The clerk has a link set up for it. And that concludes my report.
Okay, on those bonuses, signing bonuses.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Councilmember Brown Jr. That completes our committee reports for tonight. I'm going to give you the announcements that we have for now. I've given two of them, the upcoming events. We have the State of the City event that will be delivered by yours truly, your mayor, on March 6th at 5:30 at the beginning of the council meeting. So March 6th will be the State of the City address. Go Forward Town Hall meeting will take place tomorrow evening, February 22nd, 5:30 p.m., right here at the Pine Bluff Convention Center. So we're asking as many of you to attend those two meetings, the State of the City, March 6th, Go Forward Town Hall, February 22nd, 5:30 p.m. Those are our announcements for this evening. Moving into proposed ordinances and resolutions, Councilmember Holcomb.
Agenda item number 1, a ordinance providing for the rezoning of certain territory in the city of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, 5700 block of Olive Street, east side.
Whereas the City of Pine Bluff Planning Commission held a public hearing on January 31st, 2023, as provided for in Section 6, Act 186 of the Statutes of the State of Arkansas, the purposes of which was to hear any and all persons interested in amending the zoning ordinance of the City of Pine Bluff by providing for the rezoning of certain property. And whereas it has been expressly stated by the City Council of the City of Pine Bluff that the zoning ordinance should be amended to provide for the rezoning of said property. Now therefore be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, Section 1, that the following described property be, and the same is hereby established and defined, B3, highway commercial for all future purposes as set forth and defined in the zoning ordinance. Section 2, all ordinances and parts of ordinances in conflict herewith are hereby repealed to the extent of such conflict.
Suspend the rules, place this ordinance up for a second reading.
Second.
It has been properly moved and second that we suspend the rules and place this ordinance on the second reading. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Mays. Councilmember Holcomb Jr.
Aye.
Councilmember Brown Jr.
Aye.
Councilmember Lockett.
Aye.
Councilmember Brown Senior.
Aye. Aye.
Councilmember Shainer.
Aye.
Councilmember Frazier.
Aye.
Councilmember Brunson.
Aye.
Oh, an ordinance providing for the rezoning of certain territory in the City of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, 5700 block of Olive Street, east side.
Suspend the rules, place this ordinance up for its third and final reading.
Second.
It has been properly moved and second that we suspend the rules and place this ordinance on its third reading. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Holcomb Jr.
Aye.
Councilmember Brown Jr.
Aye.
Councilmember Lockett.
Aye.
Councilmember Brown Senior.
Aye.
Councilmember Shainer.
Aye.
Councilmember Frazier.
Aye.
Councilmember Brunson.
Aye.
An ordinance providing for the rezoning of certain territory in the City of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, the 5700 block of Olive Street on east side.
Move for adoption.
Second.
It has been properly moved and second that an ordinance providing for the rezoning of certain territory in the City of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, 5700 block of Olive Street, east side, be approved. The floor is open for discussion. Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor of this ordinance, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ordinance approved.
Agenda item number 2, an ordinance providing the rezoning of certain territory in the City of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, 200 block of East 2nd Avenue.
Whereas the City of Pine Bluff Planning Commission held a public hearing on January 31st, 2023 as provided for in Section 6, Act 186 of the Statutes of the State of Arkansas, the purposes of which was to hear any and all persons interested in amending the zoning ordinance of the City of Pine Bluff by providing for the rezoning of certain property. And whereas it has been expressly stated by the City Council of the City of Pine Bluff that the zoning ordinance should be amended to provide for the rezoning of said property. Now therefore be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, Section 1, that the following described property be, and the same is hereby established and defined, I-1, light industrial for all future purposes as set forth and defined in the zoning ordinance. Section 2, all ordinances and parts of ordinances in conflict herewith are hereby repealed to the extent of such conflict.
Suspend the rules, place the ordinance up for its second reading.
Second.
It has been properly moved and second that we suspend the rules and place this ordinance on its second reading. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Mays. Councilmember Holcomb Jr.
Aye.
Councilmember Brown Jr.
Aye.
Councilmember Lockett.
Aye.
Councilmember Brown Senior.
Aye.
Councilmember Shainer.
Aye.
Councilmember Frazier.
Aye.
Councilmember Brunson.
Aye.
An ordinance providing for the rezoning of certain territory in the City of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, 200 block of East 2nd Avenue.
Suspend the rules, place this ordinance up for its third and final reading.
Second.
It has been properly moved and second that we suspend the rules and place this ordinance on its third and final reading. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Mays. Councilmember Holcomb Jr.
Aye.
Councilmember Brown Jr.
Aye.
Councilmember Lockett.
Aye.
Councilmember Brown Senior.
Aye.
Councilmember Shainer.
Aye.
Councilmember Frazier. Aye. Councilmember Brunson.
Aye.
An ordinance providing for the rezoning of certain territory in the city of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, 200 block of East Second Avenue.
Move for adoption.
Second.
It has been properly moved and second that an ordinance providing for the rezoning of certain property in the city of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, 200 block of East Second Avenue be approved. The floor is open for discussion. Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor of this ordinance, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ordinance approved.
Agenda item number 7, a resolution declaring certain houses, building, and/or structures as nuisance and ordering their abatement.
Whereas the city council has determined that the structures located on the property listed in section 3 of this
Move for
resolution.
Second.
It has been moved and properly second that a resolution declaring certain houses, buildings, and structures as nuisances and ordering their abatement be approved. The floor is open for discussion. Councilmember Frazier?
The list that's here, are the citizens able to see this? I know we get to see it, but are the citizens able to get a copy of this before the city council meeting?
I don't know that they get a copy of this printed list, but I do know that each one of these citizens has been notified.
Okay.
But as far as the printed list is concerned, I don't think so. Ms. Williams, are you here, Ms. Williams? But each one of these citizens has been, they've been served proper notice.
Yeah, I know the citizens are notified, but people that's here might not even, like the gentleman said, I agree to a certain extent that, the people that's here don't even know what's on this list, what we're agreeing to, put as a nuisance or declare a nuisance, so I was just trying to see how that worked. Thank you.
Any other questions? We can discuss that with the attorneys at a later date, see how we can work that out. All right, any other questions? There are copies of all of these houses and all the list in the clerk's office.
Okay.
If they ever have questions, they can
okay.
always refer, you can always refer them to the clerk's office.
Okay, that's what I was trying to do.
And that would be the current one and any past ones approved as well.
Okay. Thank
Any
you,
other
Mayor.
questions? Hearing none, let's vote. All in favor of this ordinance, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ordinance approved.
Agenda item number 8, a resolution providing for placement of costs of correcting certain nuisances on tax books as delinquent taxes and collected as such.
Whereas ACA 1454903.
Second.
It's been proved and properly second that a resolution providing for placement of cost of correcting certain nuisances on tax books as delinquent taxes and collected as such be approved. The floor is open for discussion. Any questions? Hearing
Mayor,
none?
Madam Mayor.
Also, we have an addendum to, number 8, those 2 properties listed, on page 3, lines 4 through 6, and also page 3, lines 10 through 12, are to be removed from from this list.
Okay, so everybody sees those,
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to amend.
Second.
it's been moved and second that we amend, this list using the items from the addenda sheet. It's an investment company and then an expansion group. I don't wanna mispronounce those names. Be approved.
Moskovitz.
Moskowitz.
Okay. Okay, it's been motion motioned and second that we make this amendment. All in favor of the amendment, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Amendment approved. Now let's carry the actual resolution.
Original as amended.
I'm sorry,
Yeah,
the original as amended.
original as amended.
All in favor of the original as amended, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution approved as amended.
Agenda item number 9, a resolution creating a program to attract and retain public safety officers through payment of bonuses.
Whereas the hiring and retention of qualified police and firefighters is of critical importance to the community, and whereas the city is in competition with other municipalities for attracting and keeping these employees, and whereas in order to improve the competitiveness of the city in doing so, the payment of bonuses upon hiring and anniversaries through year 3 with the city should be implemented. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, Section 1. There is hereby created a program to attract and retain public safety officers through the payment of bonuses. This program will be budgeted in the amount of $200,000 for 2023. Section 2. There is appropriated the sum of $200,000 from the reserve for the CARES Act account and transferred to a new line item called the Reserve for Public Safety Signing Bonuses account and assigned lines 01-2515. Section 3, there is hereby authorized the payment of bonuses in accordance with the following scheme. For new officers, $5,000 and for certified officers, $10,000. The mayor is authorized to implement the program and the payment of the bonuses to qualified public safety officers accordingly. Section 4, only new hires are eligible for a bonus as provided in this resolution. No current or previously employed public safety officer by the City of Pine Bluff is eligible for the bonus. Section 5, for purposes of this resolution and payment of the bonus, year of service is measured from the initial date of hire. If the date of hire is March 20th, year 1 will conclude on March 20th of the following year, and likewise for years 2 and 3.
Move for adoption.
Second.
It has been properly moved in second that a resolution creating a program to attract and retain public safety officers through payment of signing bonuses be approved. The floor is open for discussion. Councilmember Lockett.
Madam Mayor, is this $200, we're gonna use it until it's expended? Do we have a potential, longevity of this fund?
We're going to use it until it's expended.
Okay.
And then we're hoping that once it is expended, this is just for 2023 right now.
Mhm.
And we'll address it for our years to come as we move forward. Based on the number of officers that have been hired in the past, this should carry us through the year. But if it doesn't, we'll see what we can do to find dollars to supplement by the end of 2023.
And since this covers a 3-year period, do we hold, I know the
That-
first year they'll get the $1,000, but if,
All of that comes out of that 2,000 that we've appropriated.
okay,
So it's over 3 years, so you get up on hire, if they're a new officer, they get 1,000, then after they complete training, 750. And when you get that total, end of year 1, 750, end of year 2, 1,250, that totals the 5,000.
gotcha.
So over the 3 year, that 5,000 is still in the budget for that purpose. And the same for the 10,000, you see the schedule.
Yes, ma'am.
For the 10,000. That was a good question, I think Ms. Frazier had a similar question. Okay. Any other questions?
Mayor, I'm supposed to be co-sponsor on that.
Okay. Let's add Shaner as. If there are no more questions or comments, all in favor of this resolution, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution approved.
Resolution number 10, Agenda item number 10, a resolution reappointing Wanda V. Neal to the Pine Bluff Aviation Commission.
Whereas the term of Wanda V. Neal as a member of the Pine Bluff Aviation Commission will soon expire, and whereas the mayor has elected to reappoint Ms. Neal to a new term subject to council approval. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, that the mayor's appointment of Wanda V. Neal to the Pine Bluff Aviation Commission to serve a term to expire March 31st, 2028 is hereby approved and confirmed.
Move for adoption.
Second.
It has been properly moved in second that a resolution reappointing Wanda V. Neal to the Pine Bluff Aviation Commission be approved. The floor is open for discussion. Any questions? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Very good. Ms. Wanda V. Neal, will you please stand? Let's give Ms. Neal a hand for her service. She has served one term, done a very good job, been very active, and is willing to give her service to a second term. So thank you, Mrs. Neal. Congratulations. I think that concludes our agenda.
Motion to
for
adjourn.
tonight.
Second.
It's been moved and properly, that we are officially adjourned. Thank you. We'll see you at our next meeting.
Thank you.
Any speakers?
Okay, we have one speaker to speak after the agenda. Our speaker speaking on 2115 South Walnut Street property is Yvette Dillingham. How are you, Ms. Dillingham?
I'm doing well. How are you all?
Oh, just fine.
And good evening to everyone. I am Yvette Dillingham again, and thank you all for giving me this opportunity. Unfortunately, I'm after the adjournment, but we'll try to make it quick. This concern I have is very personal, personable to me. I had a home on 2115 South Walnut Street for years. That home belonged to my mother, Eula Davis. So it was spring of 2022. I received a letter from the Code Enforcement Department stating that the home was condemned. So they had requested that I either have someone to come and demolish it, or that they would do it. So I called immediately and talked with someone there in the Code Enforcement Department, and requested a list of folks to demolish the home. So I did what they requested, and they sent me several contractors, and I ended up going with Chris Warrior, and he contacted someone in the Code Enforcement Department and shared with them that he had put me on his waiting list in April of 2022. So, as of maybe somewhere between November and December, I was informed by a possible individual company who wanted to purchase the home. And this goes back to what one of the council members was referring to earlier about trying to renovate homes on the property versus demolishing the home. Now, going back a little bit, several of the contractors that I had spoken with, when they had gone into the home, stated that it wasn't as bad as they thought it was going to be. It was still, up. It looked terrible on the outside, but we kept the property up, paid taxes, so the taxes were not delinquent, and finding out in the middle of a transaction to sell the home, to sell the property, that the property had been demolished was a little disappointing. to say the least. I had gotten a certified letter initially stating that the home was going to be demolished. I thought it would have been appropriate, proper for someone to send me a certified letter or call me to say this house is going to be demolished, in which the home was not falling down. Now, I'm from Pine Bluff. I'm a Pine Bluffian. I love Pine Bluff. My family members are still here. And so I just feel as though the procedures that whether it's the urban renewal department or the code enforcement department, they had a breakdown in communication with me. And so at this point, it's not about the amount, the $5,000 some odd dollars that they want me to pay them for demolishing a home that they did not contact me about, my home. So at this point, I just want to share with you all, I think that something needs to occur with the procedures. Now, if the home was in such a terrible condition, this home is on a dead-end street, it's away from traffic, no one goes, you can't even, at the end, there's nothing.
I was gonna ask you where that at, 'cause you said South Walnut, you said
2115 South Walnut.
Okay, I was trying to figure out where that was, 'cause
Okay.
it changed into Olive Street on down. So
Yes, sir.
It's a half a street.
Yes.
Okay.
So when you pass that, the 2115, all of those homes on the main street there are really in terrible condition. So I'm thinking, and the property is not kept up. So I'm trying to figure out, how did they
Go backwards.
go, yes,
Back in the day, I got you.
and go past that
Yeah.
and to go down a dead-end street? And I guess my question is here. What is the procedure for contacting taxpayers? You know, it wasn't delinquent, just to give us some due respect before demolishing a homestead
And charging you.
and charging me. I didn't ask for the urban renewal to do this. I asked Chris Warrior. And so he contacted someone in the code enforcement department and stated to them, as I mentioned earlier, that I was on his waiting list. That's my question.
Did you ever hear from Mr. Warrior after he told you you were on the waiting list?
Yes, no, not after he told me, but when I called him, I did hear back from him. That he had contacted someone there at the department, in the code enforcement department. So that's my question. It's just that I felt as though I should have been contacted. Simple.
Madam Mayor. May I speak? Well, Ms. Dillingham, I'm really sorry about the inconvenience, but I want to make sure that everybody understands that once you get a certified letter saying that your property is condemned and referred to demolition, then at that particular time, if you don't intervene in some kind of way, it can be demolished. I mean,
But I did what they asked me to do.
and there must be a breakdown in the communications between Mr. Warrior, code enforcement, and I guess urban renewal in how that works. Now that's a whole nother thing once you've made some type of arrangement to do your own demolition.
Yes.
Now, I can't say that my committee, the Development and Planning Committee, once you express an interest in rehabilitating a home that is on the list, then it's put on hold. So therefore, there's no more activity relative to demolition unless you stop the work process. And I'm so sorry you didn't get a chance to appeal to the committee before this demolition issue.
Yes.
But it's something that has to be worked out between code enforcement and urban renewal, in that urban renewal cannot demolish a home unless it's referred to them by code enforcement.
I do understand.
And so there,
Yes.
I don't know how that process actually works, but I will be getting with Ms. Williams to make sure that all the channels are open, and that people that's not taking the liberty of doing things without the proper authorization.
Yes, sir, and thank you so much, but I did get that information from the mayor's office. Well, Ms. Williams.
Okay.
Okay, Ms. Williams. She did share with me that once it goes, you know, like you said, for demolishing, that the urban renewal department can go in at any time. But again, I guess my concern is all over this city, just about, off of 6th, I think it's 6th Street, in front of the car wash. That house is just literally leaning. And it's on a public thoroughfare. Right, so I guess I'm just needing some answers.
Well, I do
That's it.
understand you. I had another guy tell me the same thing today, and it was more than your 5,000, it was 24,000, so.
Oh, my goodness.
So, I do know what you're talking about. I'll get a lawyer, so, I don't know. He thinks the city owes him 24,000. I can't pay it, I listen, but, I do understand you.
But again, thank you all for listening, and hopefully something will be done in the future with regards to just contacting the homeowners, tax-paying homeowners, to say, okay, we haven't heard from you, this is what we're going to be doing next week. If you think that you can have this home refurbished, please get with us. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, and we'll work on fine-tuning that process. Thank you. Each one of you council members should have a copy of the report, your 2022 annual report from A&P, and you should have gotten in your packet.
Yes,
Thank you. Okay. Thank you. See you at our next meeting.
Okay, go. 6:38, ain't bad.